that it is surprising to me that people are saying that there is no difference. And ladies and gentlemen, Mazda Miata ND2 versus ND3, both are the Grand Touring spec. This one is the RF, obviously. This is the soft top. This one's manual, this one's automatic, but we're gonna cover the differences of the two vehicles. Starting with the exterior, you're gonna see the headlights have changed. They're now going full LED, and the DRLs, which are part of that bottom vent, are now integrated into the top. But you'll notice these are both on the same tires and same section width, which is gonna be very important when comparing the handling characteristics. I do like these wheels better. I think prior gen wheels a little bit more simple, timeless. The new one's a little bit busy with the two-tone diamond cut. Same thing with the rear lights here. We got LED taillights versus these not LED. And big thanks to CardinaleWay Mazda for making this review possible. Follow them at Mazda Las Vegas on Instagram. And let's start with the 23 as the baseline. We have some pretty exciting updates driving-wise to the 24, namely in the steering and the LSD. But let's start here with the baseline. I have reviewed a manual ND2 previously on the channel. So first you're gonna notice this infotainment screen, quite a bit smaller, lower res, thicker bezels than in the new one. We'll see that shortly. You know, for those who are looking to get a Mazda Miata, please get it in manual. I mean, there's only two reasons you get an automatic Miata. Number one is you have a legitimate medical reason for getting an automatic. You know, have some leg issues or whatever, you can't drive a manual. I get that, no hate. But the second reason is that you just don't know how to drive stick and you're too afraid and you don't want to do it. But guess what? The best things in life, you gotta put in a little bit of effort, and none of us came out of the womb knowing how to drive stick. All right, we're gonna put this into manual mode. Now, unfortunately, with the automatics, they also don't give you an LSD, a limited slip differential. And I really wanted to compare that today, but unfortunately, all we had for 2023s was this automatic. So if you're in the Las Vegas area and you have a manual ND2, please reach out. We would love to review that. A lot of rocks. It actually holds the gear for you. It will not auto upshift that red line. These have the same engine, 2-liter, inline 4, naturally aspirated, pushing out 181 horsepower. That's up for the ND2. The ND1, they essentially didn't have enough budget to improve the Mazda 3 engine, so they just kind of slotted it in there. And then once they had enough budget, they refreshed that for the ND2 and gave it a higher red line and also a little bit more power as a result of increasing that red line. Their main goal there was to improve the character of the engine, but power increased also as a result. Now, I have been driving the ND3 for the last week, and the steering here is actually a noticeable difference. There's two main differences. The first thing with the ND3 that they changed is they reduced the friction throughout the system. And the second thing is they retuned the EPS unit, the actual, you know, it's an electric power assist, so you can actually tune that differently. But right around center, they mentioned that the ND3 has improved recentering, and I'm not sure about that. The feel, I can already say, is reduced. But the GR86, for those who have watched my content before, I hated the second gen GR86 steering because it had this like weird stickiness right near center. And I realized now, after learning about the Mazda Miata, is that issue I had in the GR86 was probably because of higher levels of friction, because the first gen had great steering, and then the second gen had increased friction, I believe, which caused that weird stickiness and lack of centering right near the midline. But you have a lot of body roll, and it really takes time to settle. It feels like you're driving kind of in slow-mo. It's more of a whimsical car rather than one that's a more serious, razor-sharp car. We're gonna turn off the traction control here. The ND3 does have an updated system. a track mode DSC off that allows much more slip angle without it being completely off. Six-speed automatic slush box. And the shifts are a bit slow. Getting a little bit through the wheel, but not as much as I would like. I will admit though that the ND2 steering isn't as bad as I remember. It's definitely more numb than I would like, but when you're pushing the car, you are getting a little bit of communication. As you play with the weight balance over the front wheels, load them up, unload them, you get a little bit. But that on-center, like right here on the road, I'm not getting much texture. That on-center feedback is very much lacking. And I would love to comment on things like the LSD, but I mean, this is open diff. We also have an extra 100 pounds with the RF hardtop versus the soft top. Rejecting my shift. Yeah, if you are in the market for a Miata, please, please, please get a manual. And if you don't know how to drive manual, we have a playlist, A to Z, 3-part series. The only video you need to watch, or the only 3 videos you need to watch, because it'll take you from the beginner that doesn't know how to even move the car to double clutch heel towing at the same time, the most advanced technique when it comes to a manual transmission. Stepwise linear progression. If you guys can't already tell, love teaching, love cars, so why not combine them into one? Yeah, I'm now seeing that little bit of friction that they're talking about, because it's not that massive stickiness that you see in the GR86, but there's like a little bit, because everything below that friction point, you're losing that information. The steering weight though is pretty similar because, you know, I think the amount of friction is pretty minor, and even if there was a significant difference, we can just tune the E-Pass differently such that you're getting similar weight and such. And now it's time for the ND3 Miata 2024 Grand Touring, 6-speed manual transmission, hard top. First thing you're gonna notice, the interior's actually, it's nicer, right? This screen, larger, higher resolution, thinner bezels. And for those who are paying attention, since we're driving some Japanese sports cars today, I figured we need a Japanese automotive inspired watch. Rocking the Seiko SNDD87 quartz chronograph. Got it for like 180 bucks. Put on this brown leather NATO strap, which shows you that you can enjoy watches without spending a fortune on them. Oh my god, thank god this is manual. Driving an automatic in a car like that just sucks the life out of you. It's completely incongruent with what the car is all about. Driving purity. Here we go. First of all, you can just feel so much more texture on center in this ND3. Now, I want to say something about that. There have been a lot of people, heel toe is a cinch, love that. Nice throttle response, nice pedal placement. Mazda cares about these details, which I love. Putting it on that track mode. $7,500 RPM redline. All right, so going back to the steering, a lot of people have been commenting on this on the Miata forums. It is a cesspool, dude. The people who are saying like, oh, there's no difference, oh, this or that, like, have some humility. Everyone has a different skill set, okay? Now, I'm not gonna be the best person in the world at commenting on the way a car sounds because I didn't train professionally in music when I was younger, right? But I did work a lot with my hands. Even as a kid, a lot of drawing, building small model cars, doing a lot of, various crafts, building things for fun. And, even I kept training that dexterity, did med school, did plastic surgery. So maybe I care more about steering than the average person, which is fair, but we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Maybe I care more about that because my hands and such, my sensations are better tuned into that, right? Whereas someone else may be better with sound. So for those who are saying there's no difference, there is absolutely a difference. You get much better on-center feedback with this vehicle. There's 4 different characteristics of steering that I like to talk about. There's accuracy, weighting, ratio, or speed, and feedback. Now the first 3, most sports cars get right because those are a lot easier to get. The ratio feels natural, the weighting is, it's lighter, but this is a smaller, lighter car. Feedback is the one thing that's really hard for a lot of manufacturers to get right. And here it is definitely improved. And there are other reviewers who have said, hey, there's no difference. I wonder if maybe they're on, maybe the tires on the vehicles aren't the same. Maybe the tire pressure is different. Maybe, I don't know. There's various factors. Part of it is gonna be the sensitivity of an individual person to steering, but part of it is also the vehicle, right? So I made sure today we have the same tires. In fact, I like this just that little bit more than the ND2, that it's making me reconsider whether I get this or an S2000 because the steering here is definitely better than an S2000. The steering here is now actually good. Woo-hoo-hoo, there we go. Now the idea with the updated LSD is an asymmetrical LSD, and the asymmetry part is the way it locks up on deceleration versus acceleration when you're entering a corner versus exiting a corner. And the idea is that with the ND2, you got a lot of instability, a lot of over-rotation on corner entry. You have to correct that, counter steer on corner entry. And then on corner exit, you get a little bit of understeer. So they've updated the LSD to allow it to actually lock up more when you're decelerating to add more stability, less over-rotation on corner entry, and less lockup on corner exit to allow less understeer, allow it to rotate a little bit more. See, as you boogie this vehicle, it doesn't give you that much confidence. Here's the reason why. It's so softly sprung that, and this is both ND2 and ND3, I don't think that they actually updated the suspension much. I mean, between RF and this, there's a slight difference, but between the 23s and 24s, the same trim level, I believe that they're the same, identical. But because the suspension is so softly sprung, and, with the soft top, it's going to be a little bit stiffer than with the hard top, the car takes a little bit of time to get settled as you load it up in a corner, and that gives just a pause, a little bit of hesitation, but that does make it, on the other hand, much more comfortable day to day when you drive it. Now, if I were to get one of these and make it my tractor, I'm definitely going to be doing coilovers, right? But I will say, even stock, just the way it comes from factory, it is very fun. There we go. Yeah, it's really surprising to me. The difference in the steering is so stark that it is surprising to me that people are saying that there is no difference. And you go on those forums and people are like, oh, I have like track experience and I've done this and there's no difference and this ND2 has amazing steering already. I'm like, my guy. There's let's have some humility. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. Yours is clearly not steering. This is definitely better than the ND2, guys. Much more road texture, much more on center feel. And that's largely from them reducing the friction and retuning that E-Pass. And even mid-corner, you're getting that weighting and unweighting the way you'd expect. It's a little bit sharper, a little bit more higher resolution concrete than in the ND2. Now, other things I want to tell you about the ND3, they haven't changed the manual transmission because, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It feels amazing. It's nice and mechanical. Out of new vehicles under 100K, this is probably a top 3 transmission. It is such a joy to use. Such a joy. So mechanical, so tight. It's a direct connection. The transmission's right there. No cables, no nonsense. And you gotta love it in this Soul Crystal Red metallic. I mean, you even get some of that paint color into the interior here. I love that. I'm colorblind, and my fellow colorblind friends, I think it's like 8% of guys are red-green colorblind like me. But I got these colorblind sunglasses, and seeing Soul Crystal Red metallic, I have a whole new level of appreciation for the color. It just pops so well with that depth. It looks so good. If you're colorblind, then definitely check out these, I think it's called Enchroma sunglasses. No affiliation. I got these 5-6 years ago. I love using them, especially when I'm looking at reds. But that's a whole other conversation with protonomaly versus deuteranomaly. You know, your red cones versus your green cones. What's more dysfunctional? These actually work best if you have protonomaly, is where your red cones are dysfunctional, but still present, still working, not a full protonope, not protonopsia rather, but protonomaly. See, the throttle response is just so natural and immediate. Everything just falls to hand so well. After so many, you know, this is now their 4th generation, the ND. After so many versions and iterations, they've really honed every little thing. So it feels one-to-one, it feels right, it feels just natural in your hands. From the throttle response to where the shifter's located, to the steering now, like the steering now is a strength. It is no longer a big weakness of the ND2. And the ND3, it is now something that I truly enjoy. In fact, when I got into the car, I was like, shit, like, do I get an S2000 or do I get this now? That's actually coming up in a separate video, which is soon to follow this one. So subscribe if you haven't already. My friends, again, big thanks to CardinaleWay Mazda for making this review possible. Let me know what you think of the ND2 versus ND3 Mazda Miata. If you have an ND2 that is manual in Las Vegas, please let me know. We would love to compare it. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in the next one.